What if the Israel-Palestine conflict isn't just political, but prophetic? What if headlines, wars, and peace talks are echoes of promises made thousands of years ago? For politicians, this is a territorial dispute. For historians, it's colonialism, nationalism, and power. But for millions of Christians, this conflict is part of a spiritual story that began in the book of Genesis and may shape the end of human history. Today, we're going deeper than news cycles ever will, into ancient covenants, modern wars, and biblical prophecy that still collide today. Abraham, where it all began. The roots of the Israel-Palestine conflict trace back nearly 4,000 years to one man, Abraham. According to the Bible, God made Abraham a promise. To your offspring I will give this land, Genesis 12. But Abraham had two sons, Ishmael born to Hagar, Isaac born to Sarah. Here, where history fractures, God declared the covenant would pass through Isaac, not Ishmael. Genesis 17, 19-21. Isaac's descendants became Israel. Ishmael's descendants became many Arab peoples. Two sons, one father, one land. Both received blessings. Both trace their identity to Abraham. And both see the land as part of their inheritance. Land, promise, and prophecy. For Israel, the land is not symbolic, it's covenantal. God defined borders. God called it everlasting. And throughout the Old Testament, exile and return are repeated themes. Prophets like Ezekiel and Isaiah spoke of a time when Israel would be scattered, preserved, then regathered from the nations. After nearly 2,000 years of exile, something extraordinary happened. In 1948, Israel became a nation again. To many Christians, this wasn't coincidence. It was prophecy unfolding. But to Palestinians, 1948 marked something else entirely. 1948, miracle or catastrophe. For Jews, 1948 was restoration. For Palestinians, it was the Nakba, the catastrophe. Over 700,000 Palestinians were displaced. Villages vanished. Refugee camps formed and still exist today. Two narratives were born from the same event. Return for one people, displacement for another. And those narratives hardened into identity. The Six-Day War and Jerusalem. In 1967, everything changed again. In 6 days, Israel captured East Jerusalem, the West Bank, Gaza, the Golan Heights. For Israel, it was survival. For Palestinians, it was occupation. But spiritually, Jerusalem became the epicenter. The Bible calls Jerusalem God's chosen city, the place where His name dwells, the focal point of end-time prophecy. Zechariah warned, Jerusalem will become an immovable rock. All who try to move it will injure themselves. To many believers, the modern battle over Jerusalem is not random. It is foretold. Spiritual warfare or human conflict. The Bible doesn't deny politics, but it reveals forces behind them. In Daniel, spiritual powers influence earthly kingdoms. In Revelation, Jerusalem stands at the center of final events. Many Christians believe Israel's survival defies history. Opposition to Israel reflects spiritual resistance. The conflict points toward an unfinished prophetic timeline. Others argue the conflict is purely human, driven by power, land, and injustice. And maybe it's both. This war didn't begin in 1948. And it won't end with a ceasefire. It began with a promise. And it points toward something far bigger than borders. So the question isn't just who owns the land, but what role does this land play in God's plan? Backhand index pointing right before you scroll away. If you want to understand world events before they hit the headlines, subscribe to Scripture Insights. We don't chase trends. We trace prophecy. And comment below. Is this conflict spiritual, political, or both?